This is tutorial number 2 of 2 tutorials on a password strategy. In the first tutorial, we discussed the fundamentals for developing any password. We ended this discussion by suggesting a password strategy that would entail 3 components: a seed word or phrase, plus a connector character, plus an account name. So now let's take a look at each of these items in turn. First, a seed word or phrase. Here we will give an example of using a seed word like Peter. Maybe it is or was the middle name of my father, for instance. Using our 4 character sets and vowel replacement routine, Peter would now become capital P, number 3, small t, number 3, small r, as our seed word. Notice in this instance, we have taken into account 3 of the character sets at once. That is, the capital P, followed by the vowel replacement for E, that is 3, then lowercase t, then another 3 for an E, and lastly lowercase r. If your seed word does not automatically start with an uppercase letter, then the suggestion is to always start the seed word with an uppercase alphabet character. This immediately deals with having one of the character sets taken care of from the very beginning. All subsequent non-vowel characters can then be in lowercase for simplicity. It also suggests you will likely never choose a seed word beginning with a vowel because of the replacement procedure, which produces mostly non-alphabetical characters. Moving on, another seed word might relate to a phrase like, I have a cottage at the lake. Here we might use either cottage or lake as the seed word, where cottage would become capital C, 0, lowercase t, symbol at, lowercase g, 3. Remember where O becomes 0. Or lake becomes capital L, symbol at, lowercase k, number 3. In both these cases, you will now notice that the seed words include all 4 of the character sets, so you don't have to tend to that requirement anymore. By having an easily remembered phrase, like having a cottage at the lake, you can then remember what the seed word is that you have chosen. Now let's deal with the second component of our strategy, namely a connector character. This can be any single special character on the keyboard like hyphen, underscore, comma, symbol at, or a number, or whatever. A suggestion would be to use the symbol at or the number 4 for a reason that will become clearer later on. For now, depending upon your seed word, you may have only covered 3 of the character sets, and where either symbol at or number 4 would complete the use of 4 character sets so far. Finally, we include the name or initials of the actual online account you are preparing a password for in question. So if it is your bank, you might simply use bank. If an account at the department store, you might use Sears or HBO. If Google, you can simply identify your account as Google. Notice the account name is all in lowercase, so you do not get confused where capital letters may occur, and to further confound anybody trying to guess your password if they get that far. When it comes down to it, it is your account ID name that makes all your passwords unique, that is, non-repetitive, therefore abiding by one of the rules or using passwords. So let's put this all together and show how simple it is to have passwords that are created alike but are easily remembered and unique in every instance. Sounds quite detailed, but when we look at how this strategy works, you will soon learn it is very easy to remember each time you make or use password for online use. Let's use the seed word cottage in our phrase. We have a cottage at the lake, and see how it works. As before, we now know cottage becomes capital C, 0, lowercase t, symbol at lowercase g 3 in our strategy. Again, O becomes 0, remember? And cottage is easily remembered because my reminder phrase is, I have a cottage at the lake. Add our connector, say symbol at or number 4. If your seed word lacked one of the character sets, then use the character that would fulfill the 4th character set, as we indicated earlier. However, another reason for using either of these characters, but only use one of them per seed word, is you are saying to yourself, I have a seed word, at or for, an online account. At or for becomes symbol at or number 4 and makes sense, and is also easily remembered. Finally, we added our actual account, online account. Sometimes you might look at the Euro address in your browser to get the right spelling of the account, as you are likely at the login screen when asked to enter your password. The suggestion again is to make the account name all lowercase characters, so you don't have to worry about any uppercase or otherwise odd characters. So let's look at some examples using cottage as our seed word, and when I say cottage now, you will see we have already made it capital C, 0, lowercase t, symbol at, lowercase g, 3. We will also use the connector symbol at. Cottage at bank, where the account ID is always lowercase, takes care of my password for my bank. But if you have several financial online accounts, maybe use cottage at BMO, or cottage at CIBC, or even cottage at ACU, the latter for a credit union account maybe. Cottage at Sears takes care of my password for my Sears account. Cottage at MTS or cottage at Shaw could be passwords for either of my internet accounts. Cottage at Google would take care of my password for google.com. Cottage 3 at Apple ID would take care of my password ID for my Apple account, and so on. Notice, all the above examples contain all 4 character sets, are at least 6 characters long, and are unique. That is, they're not repeated in any way. Why? Because of the account name. You may see the pattern when in a list as above, but when you use them individually, the pattern is not so easily discernible. However, as usual, there are a couple of exceptions. One is in the case where your organization or employment requires you to change your passwords frequently, like every month. To get around this and still use the strategy, simply replace the account name, since you already know where you are, and use the current month and year in question. So a password for your employer login might initially be cottage at Hydro, and for the current month of October in 27, you would use cottage at OCT 2017. Each time you change your password, the month number and year will make it unique and not repeated in any year, if ever, which might be the rule of the organization or employer. A second exception sometimes occurs where the account does not allow the use of special characters in a password. This is where you would choose a seed word that does not call for special character, as in Peter becoming capital P3 small t 3 small r, and using number 4 as the connector. To have this as a secondary password also becomes useful if you ever wanted to start changing all your initial passwords made up by this strategy. And by the way, if you really want a list of your password accounts to keep track of where you have accounts, you can simply list them like this: at bank, at MTS, at Google, without the seed word. So anyone trying to use these will fail because they did not know there was a seed word preceding each item. And of course, you would never tell anyone about having a seed word, would you? So what initially appears to require some details In the end, this strategy becomes fairly simple and easily remembered. Just remember, have a seed word plus a connector character plus an account name. And as they say, Bob's your uncle. Oh, by the way, did you see another seed word there? Capital N, lowercase n, lowercase c, lowercase l, number 3, in case you missed it.